The crossing. The void between galaxies stretched before the UES Artemis like an endless ocean of darkness. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the massive energy barrier that had blocked humanity's expansion for generations. The shimmering wall of exotic particles, spanning thousands of light years in every direction, had earned many names over the decades: the veil, the boundary, the great filter. But its purpose remained a cosmic mystery. "Final systems check complete, Captain," announced Dr. Kaido Nakamura, his voice steady despite the tension filling the bridge. "Quantum displacement drive is operating at optimal parameters." Maya nodded, her gaze never leaving the view screen. The barrier loomed larger with each passing second, its surface rippling with energies that defied conventional physics. For 200 years, humanity had sent ships to probe this galactic boundary. None had returned, at least not intact. Lieutenant Commander Park broadcast final mission status to Earth Command. Maya ordered, "Let them know we're proceeding with barrier approach." "Aye, Captain." "Though response will take 3 weeks at this distance," Park replied, fingers dancing across his console. Maya allowed herself a small smile. "I'm hoping we'll have better news by then." The Artemis wasn't just another probe ship. It represented humanity's most desperate gamble, their final attempt to break through the barrier that had trapped them within their home galaxy. Earth's resources were dwindling, habitable planets becoming scarce. The generations-long terraforming projects couldn't keep pace with population growth and resource consumption. Humanity needed to expand or face a slow extinction. "Captain, approaching critical threshold in 60 seconds, announced Artemis's AI, its voice carefully calibrated to sound reassuring despite delivering what might be a death sentence. Maya activated the ship-wide comm. "All hands, secure for barrier approach. This is what we've trained for." Unlike previous missions that had attempted to brute force their way through with conventional or exotic propulsion, the Artemis employed a radically different approach. Rather than fighting against the barrier's energy, they would harmonize with it, become one with it. Dr. Elara Wilson, the architect of this approach, stood at the quantum harmonic station. Her theory was elegant and revolutionary. The barrier wasn't a wall but a membrane, not designed to keep species out, but to test their worthiness to pass. Initiating quantum resonance field, Elara announced, her dark hands moving with practiced precision across holographic controls. "Field stabilizing at 94%, 97%, holding at 99.3%. "That's our ceiling, Captain." Maya nodded. "It'll have to be enough. Proceed with approach vector." The ship hummed with energy as the quantum resonance field enveloped it. Unlike the hard shields of conventional vessels, this field was adaptive, responsive, almost alive. It was designed to communicate with the barrier on its own terms, speaking its language of quantum states and probability waves. "Barrier contact in 10 seconds, announced the AI. Maya felt the weight of 7 billion souls on her shoulders. How many civilizations had reached this point only to be turned back, or worse? She thought of her daughter back on Earth, only 6 years old. Would she grow up in a thriving civilization spreading across new galaxies, or in the dying embers of a species that had reached too far? 5 seconds. The bridge crew held their breath. 4. Maya gripped her command chair. 3. Elara's fingers hovered over emergency protocols. 2. The ship's quantum field began to sing, a harmonic resonance that wasn't sound but something deeper. 1. The Artemis touched the barrier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to stretch. Colors that shouldn't exist flooded the bridge. Time became elastic. Maya felt herself simultaneously compressed into a single point and expanded across light years. Warning klaxons blared, then fell silent. The ship's systems flickered, rebooted, flickered again. The AI went offline, came back online speaking in mathematical equations, then reset itself. And then, stillness, a perfect, impossible quiet. "Status report," Maya managed to say. her voice sounding strange in her own ears. "All systems functional," reported Chief Engineer Hassan, sounding surprised. "Hull integrity at 100%. Quantum resonance field holding steady at..." "Wait, that can't be right." "What is it, Chief?" "The field strength, Captain. It's at 157% and climbing. That's beyond theoretical limits." Maya turned to Ilara, whose eyes were wide with wonder as she studied her displays. "It's the barrier," Ilara whispered. "It's not fighting us. It's enhancing us, communicating with us." The ship's primary display changed without input from the crew. Complex equations scrolled across it, mathematical expressions that shifted and evolved with a purpose that seemed almost sentient. "Is that code?" asked Lieutenant Commander Park. "Not exactly," Ilara replied, transfixed. "It's pure mathematics, but with intent. Captain, I think something is trying to communicate." The AI's voice returned, sounding different, more resonant, somehow older. "Unknown data stream detected. Multiple translation protocols initiated. Warning: external influence detected in ship systems. Should I initiate emergency disconnect?" Hassan asked, hand hovering over the quarantine protocols. Maya hesitated, studying the patterns on the screen. There was something about them, something that didn't feel threatening. "No. Let's see where this goes. Ilara, can you make any sense of it?" Dr. Wilson was already deep in analysis. "It's responding to our quantum field. Every adjustment we make gets a response. It's like it's learning our language while teaching us its own." The mathematics on the screen began to organize itself, transforming into structures that resembled language. But unlike any human tongue, symbols flowed and merged, separated and recombined. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Nakamura. "And impossibly advanced," added Ilara. "This makes our most complex theories look like kindergarten arithmetic." As the crew watched, the alien mathematics slowly began to form patterns they could recognize. Simple geometric shapes, then more complex structures. The ship's eye was learning, adapting, beginning to form a translation framework. "Captain," the AI announced, "I believe I can establish rudimentary communication based on shared mathematical principles." Maya straightened her uniform. First contact protocols had been established centuries ago, but never for a situation quite like this. "Proceed." The AI sent a simple sequence, the first few prime numbers, a universal mathematical concept. The response came instantly. The complete sequence of primes to numbers humans had never calculated before, then variations that suggested alternate mathematical frameworks entirely. "It's not just responding," Ilara said excitedly. "It's expanding, teaching. This isn't just communication, it's education." Hours passed as the exchange continued. The AI and Dr. Wilson worked together, gradually building a primitive lexicon. The entity, whatever it was, seemed infinitely patient, correcting their attempts, guiding them toward understanding. Then came the breakthrough. "Captain," the AI said, "I believe I can now translate a basic message from the entity." Maya nodded, her throat dry. "Let's hear it." The bridge speakers came alive with a voice that wasn't quite a voice, mathematical in its precision, but with an unmistakable sentience behind it. "UAPUROH DIFFEORIENTLI. Interesting. Most use 4C. You use harmony. Explain." Maya looked to her crew, then straightened her shoulders. "We should respond." "Suggestions." "The truth," said Ilara simply. "Tell it exactly why we're here and how we approach the barrier." Maya nodded. "AI, transmit the following. We seek passage, not conquest. We recognize the barrier as a communication, not an obstacle. We wish to learn and expand, not to destroy." The response came faster this time. "Many species reach barrier. Few understand its purpose. Fewer still approach with respect. You are Unusual. The crew exchanged glances. Whatever this entity was, it had encountered other civilizations before. Many others, judging by its statement. "What is the barrier's purpose?" Maya asked. A pause, longer this time. Then, protection, estimate, evolution. The barrier tst's worthiness. Worthiness for what? Asked Maya. For uwagh heat lis b1 for nodleg for qmnumnity among strs. The implications were staggering. The barrier wasn't a natural phenomenon, but an artificial construct, a test designed by some unimaginably advanced civilization to evaluate emerging species. The test begins in OO. The ship shuddered as energy coursed through it. The quantum resonance field flared to new heights, interfacing with the barrier in ways their instruments could barely measure. "Captain," Hassan called out, "something's happening to our systems." Before their eyes, the ship's displays transformed. Ship schematics rewrote themselves. Theoretical models they'd been working on for years suddenly completed themselves. Knowledge flooded into the Artemis databases, but not freely given. Each piece came as a puzzle, a challenge. "It's testing our comprehension," Ilara realized. "Not just giving us answers, but seeing if we can understand them." The entity's voice returned. "You will be tested. Your OISPONSES, YLDETRMI in your passage." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. What happens if we fail? The answer was simple and terrifying. Those who fail return to COMENTMPLAT their limitations. Those who fail with aggression do not return at all. As the implications sank in, the ship's sensors detected massive energy fluctuations within the barrier. The Artemis began to move, drawn deeper into the barrier structure, not passing through, but entering it. "Captain," the AI reported, "we appear to be entering a space that exists within the barrier itself. Dimensional readings indicate a pocket of space-time separate from normal space." Through the viewports, they could see what looked like a vast network, glowing filaments connecting bright nodes that stretched beyond vision. It resembled nothing so much as a cosmic neural network. "My God," breathed Ilara. "It's not just a barrier. It's a mind." The entity's next communication confirmed their suspicion. "I am KD Guardian. I am TAKTest. I am TKE bridge between JLXIs. And now, humans, you will me who you are." As the Artemis was drawn deeper into this impossible space, Maya knew they had reached a moment of profound importance for humanity. This wasn't just about crossing a barrier. It was about proving humanity's worthiness to join something greater than themselves. The test had begun. The response. The Artemis hung suspended in a realm that defied human understanding, a space that existed both within and beyond the galactic barrier. Surrounding them was a vast, pulsing network of light and energy that the crew had come to understand was not merely a structure but a consciousness, ancient, patient, and unfathomably intelligent. "All systems are stabilizing," reported Chief Engineer Hassan, though his voice betrayed his awe. "The ship is adapting somehow. Our quantum resonance field has fully integrated with the barrier's energy matrix." Dr. Ilara Wilson stared at her displays in wonder. "It's not just integrating, it's evolving. The barrier is teaching our systems how to exist in this space." For 3 days, the entity they now called the Guardian had probed the Artemis, testing not just their technology, but their very nature as a species. Information flowed into the ship's systems, not as raw data, but as complex challenges that required creative solutions. Captain Maya Chen had barely slept, coordinating her crew through challenge after challenge. Some were mathematical, requiring them to solve equations that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Others were philosophical, moral dilemmas with no clear answers that forced them to reveal their values and reasoning. New communication incoming, announced the AI, its voice having taken on subtle harmonics that echoed the Guardian's mathematical language. The bridge display illuminated with symbols that slowly resolved into words. UAP pro HC probiliumus diffiore. Most species seek singular optimal solutions. UXP lori multiple patages simultaneously. Explain. Maya looked to her crew, considering her response carefully. We've learned through our history that diversity of thought leads to more robust solutions. We value multiple perspectives because reality is too complex for any single viewpoint to fully comprehend. The response came with an energy pulse that their instruments interpreted as something akin to curiosity. Inefficient but resilient. Adaptive. Unexpected. Dr. Nakamura leaned forward. I believe it's comparing us to other species it has encountered. From its perspective, our chaotic approach might seem less efficient than a more hierarchical species. But it seems, intrigued by it, added Ilara. The Guardians' next challenge manifested as a complex simulation within their systems, a model of a dying star system with multiple inhabited worlds. The parameters kept shifting, making conventional solutions impossible. It's a no-win scenario, said Lieutenant Commander Park after hours of attempts. We can't save all the planets. That's assuming we accept the given parameters, Maya replied, studying the simulation. What if we change the rules? For 10 hours, the crew worked tirelessly, refusing to accept the simulation's constraints. Instead of choosing which planets to save, they developed an approach that would harvest the dying star's energy during its collapse, using that power to shield all the worlds simultaneously. The solution was theoretical, pushing the edges of their scientific understanding, but it was audacious, creative, and fundamentally optimistic. When they submitted their answer, the Guardian's response vibrated through the ship. Unexpected, improbable, imaginative. You read GCT limitations. Dangerous. Fascinating. I think we impressed it, Hassan said with a weary smile. Or concerned it, countered Park. Not all species would view our refusal to accept constraints as a positive trait. The challenges continued, growing increasingly complex. One tested their response to first contact scenarios, another their approach to resource scarcity. Through each, the Guardian observed not just their solutions but their methods, how they collaborated, debated, sometimes argued, but ultimately found consensus. On the 5th day, something changed. The Guardian's communication style shifted, becoming more direct. I have EXISTED for 2.7 billion of your years. I have ETESTED 18,942 species. 12,306 were returning their limitations. 4,227 were DEMED ready but conventional. 2,408 were GGED dangerous and QGONTAINed. Only ON created ANEWTHIORI. The bridge fell silent. Maya found her voice first. Are we that one? Yes, you are designated. Unexpected. Dr. Wilson looked up from her station. What does that designation mean for us? The Guardian's response came with a surge of energy that momentarily transformed the space around them, showing glimpses of countless galaxies beyond their own. It means UYLBEOFFE choice. Before them appeared 3 distinct mathematical constructs that the AI translated as options. Return to your Galactic with NanoDuduLEG to EVOLVUR. Proceed belongd bear to XXP lore undependently. Join the community of CRTFIED species under guidance. The implications were staggering. Not only was there a vast community of intelligent species beyond their galaxy, but there appeared to be some form of galactic governance or organization. We need to understand the implications of each choice, Maya said cautiously. What does under guidance mean? What restrictions would we face? The Guardian's response was surprisingly direct. Guidance is protection, knowledge, advancement. Restrictions prevent harm to stabilize order. Independent exploration offers freedom, but no protection from advanced threats. Dr. Nakamura studied the data streaming into their systems. Captain, I believe it's telling us that there are dangers beyond the barrier. Threats that newly emerged species might not be prepared to face alone. Like stepping from a nature preserve into the jungle, Hassan suggested. Maya considered this, and the first option, returning with knowledge. Return with CELDCTIV to HEKEV greater or EDNES. Approach BARIR again when EVOLVDFURTER. The crew debated the options intensely. Park advocated for caution, suggesting they return to Earth to share what they'd learned and prepare more thoroughly. Hassan and Nakamura argued for joining the community, gaining the protection and knowledge of established species. Ilara made the case for independent exploration, preserving humanity's autonomy. As they debated, Maya noticed something in the Guardian's mathematical patterns, a subtle fluctuation that their eye hadn't translated. There's something else here, she said, something it's not explicitly stating. She addressed the Guardian directly. You created a new category for us. Does that mean none of these three options truly fits our designation? The space around them rippled with what could only be described as surprise, if an ancient cosmic entity could feel such a thing. Perceptive. Yes. Your designation permits a fourth option. NEV or BFO or OFFE or ED. A new mathematical construct appeared, more complex than the others, interwoven with patterns that seemed to reference aspects of the challenges they had faced. What is this fourth option? Maya asked. Partnership. The crew exchanged confused glances. I don't understand, Maya admitted. Partnership with whom? With me. The implications slowly dawned on them. The Guardian wasn't merely a gatekeeper. It was a conscious entity with its own agenda and purpose in the cosmos. For what purpose? Dr. Wilson asked. The Guardian's response came not as words but as visions, glimpses of countless barrier points throughout the universe, each guarded by entities similar to but distinct from their Guardian. They saw species being tested, assessed, guided or turned away, a cosmic ecosystem of growth and development spanning billions of years. IHV obesity RVD 2.7 billion years of evolution. IHV GUID thousands of species to advancement. But IHV note evolved. UAPPROHCHP billions in GUIs I cannot. Your TAOs CREATs ANNOVATON. Together, we could improve the system. It wants to learn from us, Ilara whispered in astonishment, just as we want to learn from it. More than that, Maya realized. It wants to evolve, to change a system that's been static for billions of years.